Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Goratishe Namaha Nityananda Aham Naumi Sarvananda Karamparam Harinama Pradam Devam Avaduta Siromani He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Veshya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram. Hare Krishna. So we were discussing about Vena, and today we will complete the pastime of Vena. We will deliver Vena today. Hare Krishna. So all of you know the pastime, that how Vena was killed by the Brahmanas, by Brahma Sap. We discussed last classes that how Vena was trying to speak that how he is only God. And that's the natural thing that every proud person or obstinate person thinks about. So Vena was telling that the sages were telling to Vena, if you remember, the sages were telling that, O Vena, it's the duty of the king to make everyone become servant of God. The king should become servant of God. The king should serve Krishna and make every citizen serve Krishna. But you as a king, you are doing a mistake. You are making a mistake by not following the principles. You have stopped the religious activities. You have stopped the yajnas. And it is not proper, Vena. So it is our advice that you must do this. Just imagine how much the sages were, having faith. They had seen Vena from childhood and still they were having faith that Vena would listen. This is like how much these people would be innocent, these sages. So just imagine, these sages would have such power, but they would always be forgiving, they would always be compassionate, and they would be so innocent. So it takes a lot of amount of simplicity and innocence that, okay, Vena is so atrocious, but if we go and make him understand, he will understand. In that mood, the sages came, and Vena started telling the sage, Hare Krishna, please mute. Sound is low. Okay, who is telling sound is low?
Huh? Now okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Now okay.
Your sound is very high. Okay. Yes. Okay. So when I was, so the sages, when they said like this, Vena started telling that I am actually God. The king is representative of God. So why you are behaving like a prostitute, going away from the husband, who is me, the king, and going to Vishnu? Can you imagine what an example Vena is giving? Worshipping Vishnu is becoming like a prostitute. So in this way, the sages became very upset because Vena told them as prostitute, and sages became so upset, and they just did like this. I pray that if I get such power, it becomes so easy sometimes to deal with. Nowadays, a lot of things are happening and people are attacking and all those things. So just and finished. So sages, they just said, and Vena just immediately at that place fell dead. And then the sages left. And then sages left after a long time. Sages came back to the bank of a river, and they were doing their own rituals and all those things. So while one day when the sages were on the banks of a river taking bath, they could see a very unusual, unseasonal dust storm, like tornado, bhavandar. How many of you know what is a bhavandar? Like, when in Kala Vaishakhi, like for those who are Bengalis and in Odisha, it's Kala Vaishakhi. So it's like, this is a tornado, and it's a big unseasonal storm, dust storm. And the sages were thinking, what is this dust storm? This is not the right season. This is not summer and rainy season. Why this such a big dust storm? And the sages were wondering, what is this dust storm? And then they realized that this dust storm is coming out from the hooves of the horses of the thieves and dacoits who are looting villages. Just imagine. So the thieves and dacoits, because Vena is now killed, there is no king. So the thieves and dacoits would reach the villages and they would loot the villages. And when they would, after looting, when they would leave the village, so it will create a dust storm. So the sages, they saw this dust storm and they got really, really upset and compassionate. So we will read today's verse. Okay. This is Canto 4, Chapter 14, Story of King Vena. Tad upadravam agyaya. Anyone?
Tad upadravam agyaya.
Lokasya vasulum patam.
Lokasya vasulum patam.
Bhartad uparate tasmin.
Bhartad uparate tasmin.
Anyonyam cha jigham satam.
Anyonyam cha jigham satam.
Chora prayam janapadam.
Chora praya janapadam.
Hina sattvam arajakam.
Hina sattvam arajakam.
Lokan navarayan chakta.
Lokan navarayan chakta.
Apita dosa darshinaha.
Apita dosha darshinaha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Upon seeing the dust storm, the saintly persons could understand that there were a great deal of irregularities due to the death of King Vena. Without government, the state was devoid of law and order, and consequently, there was a great uprising of murderer thieves and rogues who were plundering the riches of people in general. Although the great sages could subdue the disturbance by their powers, just as they could kill the king, they considered it improper on their part to do so. Thus, they didn't attempt to stop the disturbance. Purport: the saintly persons and great sages killed Vena out of emergency, but they did not choose to take part in the government in order to subdue the uprising of thieves and rogues, which took place after the death of King Vena. It is not the duty of Brahmanas and saintly persons to kill, and although they may sometimes do so in case of emergency, they could kill all the thieves and rogues by the prowess of their mantras, but they thought that it is the duty of the Kshatriya kings to do so. Thus, they reluctantly did not take part in the killing business. We will read some of the text. Text 41. The great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes, just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. The sages decided that the descendants of the family of the saintly king Anga should not be stopped, for in this family the semen was very powerful, and the children were prone to become devotees of the Lord. After making a decision, the saintly person and the sages churned the thighs of the dead body of King Vena with great force, and according to a specific method. As a result of this churning, a dwarf-like person was born from King Vena's body. This person born from King Vena's thighs was named Bahuka, and his complexion was as black as crow. All the limbs of his body were very short, his arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat, his eyes were reddish, and his hair copper colored. Hare Krishna. This is something which we till now not know. Otherwise, in hospitals we can create new bodies just by churning. We only know churning of butter. So here the sages, they consider how to do now, what to do now. So you see, the sages were concerned about the thieves and dacoits also, and the sages were concerned about the citizens also. So the thieves and dacoits, they needed a king, and the citizens also needed a king. So the sages, they also understood another thing, that, so we will just write down so that it becomes easier for all of you to understand. Oops. Okay, we'll write from here. So the first thing we need to understand, the sages understood that the thieves, they need a king. Second, that citizens, they also need a king. Third, Anga Maharaj or Dhruva's lineage, which is very powerful, has to also continue. So thinking like all of this, considering all these things, the sages started doing manthan. So it's a specific method of churning the body of a person. You see, Vena's body had Vena's father So Vena's father was coming from Dhruva's lineage, and Vena's mother was coming from Death lineage, correct? That's what we saw. So now they knew that this has to be preserved. This has to be preserved. And that's why if you see in the Bhagavatam verses, they wanted that this lineage of Dhruva, which is very, very powerful, and the semen is very, very powerful, it has to be preserved. Simultaneously, this has to be regulated. Because if death and the atrocious activities are not regulated, then it will create problem. So thinking like that, the sages did manthan, and through the manthan, they created a body called Bahuka. Okay, so we will see the speciality for this Bahuka and what we can learn from this Bahuka. Okay, Bahuka, what it is? Bahuka. Okay, nice name. Okay, so we will see what we can learn from Bahuka. Hare Krishna. So we will read this verse and then we will go for further discussion. Tang tu te vanatang dinang.
Tang tu te vanatang dinam.
Kim karomiti vadinam.
Kim karomiti vadinam.
Nisidetya bruvam stata.
Nisidetya abhuvam stata.
Sa nisada stato bhavat.
Sa nisada stato bhavat.
Translation. He was very submissive. Who? Bahuka. Very good. Very good. Nice. He was very submissive and meek. Immediately after his birth, he bowed down and inquired, "Sir, what shall I do?" The great sages replied, "Please sit down, don't do anything. If you do, a lot of things will happen." So the great sages said, "Sit down." Nisida. Nisida means sit down. Thus, Nisada, the father of Naishada race, was born. So Bahuka became Nishad Raja. आप जानते हैं ना Nishad clan. Okay, we will read. Tasya vamsyastu Naishada. Okay. Yes. Recite. Tasya vamsyastu Naishada.
Tasya vamsyastu Naishada.
Girikanana gochara.
Girikana gochara.
Yanaharaj jayamano.
Yanaharaj jayamano.
Vena kalmasa ulvanam.
Vena kalmasha ulvana.
Okay. So this is very nice verse and very nice. It has a very deep meaning in our life. Translation. After his Nisada's birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities. As such, this Naisada class are always engaged in sinful activities like stealing, plundering, and hunting. Consequently, they are allowed only to live in forest and the hills. Purport. The Naisadas are not allowed to live in cities and towns because they are sinful by nature. As such, their bodies are very ugly and their occupations are also very sinful. We should, however, know that even those sinful men who are sometimes called Kiratas can be delivered from the sinful condition to the topmost Vaishnava platform by the mercy of a pure devotee. Engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord can make anyone, however sinful he may be, fit to return home back to Godhead. One has to become free of all contamination by the process of devotional service. In this way, everyone can become fit to return home back to Godhead. This is confirmed by Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita. Mam hi partha vyapasritya ye pisyu pyapayonaya striyo vaishya tatha sudra tepi yanti param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, as well as Sudras, can approach the supreme destination. Okay. So, now, here is Vena. So, we will now discuss about Mr. Vena. And Mr. Bahuka. Okay. So we will do a little bit of comparison between these two personalities. So the first thing is that Vena was having kingly qualities. Yes, so Vena was very, very powerful. He was having kingly qualities. And we see here Bahuka, Bahuka. I like this name very much. Bahuka. It's like nice. Whenever I read Bahuka. So Bahuka was also having kingly qualities. You see, if you read the translation, he immediately took charge of resultant actions of King's Venas, and immediately he was the father of Naisada race. So that means he didn't go through any formal training to become a king. So he was naturally a king. So Bahuka also had kingly qualities. Vena was having the negative energy very prominent with him. Yes, Vena was atrocious, cruel, this, that, stealing, thievery, this, that, so many things. And in Bahuka, the negative energy was also prominent, visible, like we read here now in Bahukas, that this, if you read this verse, his nose was flat, his eyes were reddish, and his hair was copper colored, his arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. And then he immediately took charge of the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities and all those things. So he was also born of negative energy, right? And the third one is Mr. Vena, King Vena, was very powerful. And Bahuka was also powerful. So now here the similarity ends, but there is a very powerful distinction between Vena and Bahuka. Can anyone say what is the difference between Bahuka and Vena? Yes, Pavan Krishna Prabhu is raising hand.
like when sadhus approached Vena, he was rebellious, and when and Bahuka bowed down to sadhus and asked them what to do.
Yeah, very good. So Vena was rebellious to sadhus, and Bahuka was submissive to sadhus. So here we see a very important lesson, that Bahuka also possessed the entire negative energy of Vena, and rather he also took charge of the negative activity, as it is said that he took charge of all the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities. He took charge of the stealing, he took charge of the plundering. See, this is also a profession. And these type of people will exist, and these type of people need a king. So these type of people will exist, and these type of people also need a king. So as it is mentioned here, so that the thieves will exist. It's a reality. You cannot exterminate thieves. You cannot exterminate the dacoits. So they will exist, and they will need a king. And Bahuka, because he possessed that negative energy, he was powerful, he had kingly qualities, right? So the thieves and dacoits could relate with him. Yes, it takes one to relate with someone, right? If you are not of that category, people will not relate. If Bahuka cannot steal himself, then the thieves cannot relate with Bahuka. अरे क्या तुम खुद चोरी नहीं कर सकता, तुम क्या हमारा राजा बनेगा? Correct? Yeah. So if Bahuka has to become king of the thieves, then Bahuka has to be a master thief. Yes. Otherwise, if Bahuka is not a master thief, master dacoit, or he is not expert in all these things, then he cannot control the thieves and dacoits. The thieves and dacoits will steal from Bahuka's home only. Right? So Bahuka has to handle the thieves. That means he has to handle in such a way that his house is not looted. He's such a powerful man. But then, because here, if you see, Vena came out, Vena was the result of Sunita, and Bahuka was a result of the sadhus. So here also the same semen of Dhruva's lineage was used. And here also the same semen of Dhruva's lineage was used in the process.
Sunita means?
Semen. Semen means virya. Virya.
Sunita.
Sunita is the mother of Vena, wife of Anga. Sunita is mother of Vena. I think you didn't attend the first classes. So though the same lineage was used, but because sadhus used the mantras and churned, so the rebellious nature got transformed into submissiveness. And when the rebellious nature got transformed into submissiveness, right, so immediately all other negative energies got subsided. Not subsided, but at least controlled. And as we said, that if we read, that it has to be regulated. So the lesson is for all of us that chanting of holy names, the performance of devotional service, and all these things will have a time frame to act in our life. Like for example, sometimes people ask, Ki Prabhu, I have been chanting and chanting and chanting. Why my anarthas are not going? Yes, I have been chanting for last 10 years and my anarthas are not going, Prabhu. And I am still the same person, I feel. So we need to understand that we have been in material world since how long? Yes, Chandan Kumar Prabhu, you have been in material world since how long?
Many lifetimes will be like.
Can you count?
Not possible.
Does Ritu Mataji has the count? Huh? No one. So we have been in this material world since many lifetimes. Millions and trillions and billions. Anadi karma phala. So considering that and considering just 10 years of practice, we have achieved a lot. Yes, we have achieved a lot of progress. Holy name has made us progress a lot, considering what we have achieved and what we have done in material world and what we have achieved in just 5, 6, 10 years or 2, 3 years of chanting Hare Krishna. Yes, just think previously we were thinking how to enjoy. As soon as holidays were there, what was the first thing that used to come in our head when holidays used to be there? Yes, Bihari Govind Prabhu. When 15, 16, 17 and 18 there was long weekend, what was the first thing for the long weekend?
Going for trekking.
Going for trekking. And?
Sleeping.
Sleeping. Sleeping. Yes, anyone else who is honest and who is...
Prabhuji, in a holiday to eat a nice variety of food.
Night variety of food, okay. All of you are... Yes. Huh? Goa, yes. Karan is quite honest. You will go to Goa. Okay. So these were the thoughts coming in the hearts, our hearts. Right? These are all grey thoughts. Then there were some black thoughts also that used to come in our hearts. So when we were not practicing bhakti, and we used to fight, and we used to not take bath, we used to be remaining so ugly and dirty and all those things. And right now we are all putting tilak. Just imagine, we are putting tilak.
That was Sunday morning.
That was Sunday morning. Getting up and hearing a person who has no hair. Just imagine, ये टकला से तुम लोग क्या सुनते हो? Like all of your materialistic friends would be saying, ये टकला हर दिन कुछ ना कुछ बकता रहता है, तुम क्या सुनते रहते हो, सेम चीज, तुमको बोर नहीं लगता है, एक ही टकला स्वरूप से सुनते रहना, सुनते रहना, सुनते रहना. Correct? So just imagine, in just 2-3 years or 4 years of practice of Krishna consciousness, how much our lot of philosophy, attitude, ideology has changed. So in this way, we need to understand that lot of change has happened, but whatever change has happened, it requires a certain time frame. If that time frame is there, then there is a time frame where we are materialist. That means we still have anarthas in our heart, and there will be a time frame where we'll become pure. And there will be a transition of transformation. So I say it as transition of transformation. So transformation is not a one-night affair. It's a transition. It's a slow transition from having anarthas and having a materialistic idea of life to having a pure attitude towards life and going back to Godhead. It's a transition. Now, during the transition period, Nisida. How to make our negative qualities. What is said? It says. So he started asking, what you do? Sit down, Nisida. So during this transition phase, we want to ensure that our negative qualities don't disturb us. They are under purification, but they are regulated. They don't disturb us. And that is meaning of making our negative qualities sit down or pacified. They are there, the negative qualities are there, but we may need to make them sit down, just like the sages made Bahuka sit down. So we need to make our negative energy sit down so that we can practice devotional service. And for that, the most important thing that is required is submissiveness. Or Saranagati. So this is the final lesson that we are learning from the Venas section. The final lesson is that we may have anarthas like Vena or little lesser than Vena, whatever anarthas we may have, but if we have developed submissiveness to the devotees of the Lord and practice devotional service, so that submissiveness will help us to practice and not get affected during the transition phase. So we are all in a transition phase from anartha, devotee having anartha, to a devotee who is pure. And during the transition phase, we want to practice devotional service without lot of hindrance. And that practice will happen only when we have Saranagati. Right? So, to summarize, Vena had negative qualities, Bahuka also had negative qualities, but because Bahuka had submissiveness, all the negative qualities which Bahuka had could be subdued and regulated, and ultimately, by the practice of devotional service, it could be purified. So, Srila Prabhupada goes ahead in the purport telling that not that submissiveness can just pacify it. So here the Brahmanas, because the Bahuka was submissive to the Brahmanas, his negative qualities were regulated and pacified. But if someone is submissive to the devotees, then his negative qualities will not just be pacified and regulated, it will get purified. So here Srila Prabhupada in the purport goes ahead telling that this submissiveness is important, and because the Bahuka was submissive to the Brahmanas, so his negative qualities were pacified. But if someone is Saranagati, so submissiveness to devotees of the Lord, to the Guru Parampara, then his negative qualities will not just be pacified, it will be purified. So, submissiveness is an essential qualification to ensure a smooth transition to purity in bhakti. So if you are submissive, if you have having Saranagati, will ensure a smooth transition. Our anarthas will be there, but they will disturb us less. That's what we learn as the last and final lesson from King Vena's section. And after Bahuka came out, and then again the sages started churning, and by the churning of Bahuka's arms, King Prithu and Archi, his eternal consort, Mother Lakshmi, came out together. So both Lakshmi and Vishnu, they came out, and what activities they did, and what were their pastimes, what happened after that, we will read in the next section. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, just wait 1 minute.
Prabhuji.
Let me complete. So, here we end this section of Vena. I have one more thing to tell, but yes, I'll take some questions and then we'll discuss further. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, there is anartha with us, but we are trying to go pure stage.
Yes.
But there is some transition phase, it will take some time.
Yes.
Prabhuji, there is any specification time. There is 1 year, 2 year, I have to reach that level.
Yes, so specification time depends on how much is our Saranagati. If we are informing everything, if we are taking guidance at every step from our superiors, and if we are chanting also more sincerely, following the directions of the superiors, it will be faster. If you don't do that, then it will be a very, very slow process. Based on our intensity of Saranagati, based on the intensity of practices, it will be faster. Yes?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Poonam Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, what are the steps we should be taking for making transition phase? Like submissiveness to the Guru is the most important, but like other activities like social service and taking guidance of superiors, association, like what other steps we can take, and our own sadhana.
So what steps can we do for this transition? So we need to understand that we have to give up this independent mentality, as we are discussing in the Japa talk also. And whatever Srila Prabhupada and all our acharyas are telling, we just innocently follow it, understanding that so many people have already reached perfection by following it, and if I just follow it, I will also reach perfection. So what is required is most important is innocence. So we innocently follow the Srila Prabhupada's instructions, the Guru Parampara, and whatever instructions we are receiving. And that's it. Right? And give up this independent mentality and become submissive. And whatever limbs we are being told to chant Hare Krishna sincerely, get up in the morning, and we have some rules and regulations. We follow the rules and regulations, whatever capacity we can. And if you are not able to follow, report back. Oh, Prabhuji, you said to me that I have to follow this, but I am not able to follow because of this reason. Could you please help me? How do I follow this? So if we have this innocent nature and submissive nature, just like you already have, so we'll have a very smooth transition. So Srila Prabhupada has already outlined, Srila Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion has already outlined how to practice devotional service seriously, and we follow it. Okay.
I'm not having that.
No problem. If you are not having that, that's why we're learning how to have it. And okay, yes. Next question, Arijit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, what you were saying, ki there is a transformation phase, materialistic mentality to pure mentality. Let us take the example जो करण प्रभु ने बोल रहा था कि पहले गोवा जाने का इच्छा होता था. Now अभी वृंदावन जाने का इच्छा हो रहा है. Maybe that is the transformation. My question प्रभु कि अभी भी कभी-कभी वृंदावन जाने का इच्छा होता है, but sometimes लगता है कि पहले जैसा गोवा जाऊं. तो वो क्यों होता है? मतलब I am not saying कि प्रभु मेरा गोवा जाने का इच्छा हो रहा है, but मैं as an example बता रहा हूँ. तो backward क्यों आता है?
Because I think you are thinking too much about Bahuka. So you have to think about King Prithu and Archi's qualities and activities. So Maya and Krishna, they'll always remain side by side in material world. When Vyasadeva was instructed by Narad Muni, Vyasadeva, after Narad Muni left, he wanted to write Srimad Bhagavatam. He could see Krishna and he could also see side by side Maya. And then Vyasadeva could see Maya also in the right perspective. Yaya samohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam. The verse is very famous verse in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yaya samohito jiva. So he could see material energy as samohita jiva, one who bewilders the living entity. So we need to understand that Maya is there. It's the illusion, and it's the illusory energy of the Lord trying to bewilder us, right? So sometimes because of our insignificant, infinitesimal nature, we will get affected by material energy. Practicing devotional service will not make us Vishnu Tattva. Only Vishnu is completely aloof from the material energy. But a jiva will always remain a jiva, a tatastha sakti. The jiva will always be prone to be affected by material energy. And when a jiva realizes this, that yes, I am insignificant, I will get affected, then Jiva is very careful. He never leaves the shelter of Krishna. And when he never leaves the shelter of Krishna, even if he gets affected little by little, Krishna will take care of him and he will come back. So this acceptance of our realistic position, that I am very insignificant and I have to be careful, will always help us. But till the time we are not pure, definitely these thoughts will come. And just as you are telling that why these backward thoughts are coming, that means that we are not completely got pure. Some traces are there still. And when we get pure, like Narad Muni, we may go around all over the universe, but we will never feel anything else other than chanting Narayan, Narayan. We will not chant duet songs. But till the time we have not become Narad Muni, there will be backward thoughts, there will be forward thoughts. Just remain submissive. And if you are remaining submissive, then whatever thoughts are there, we will get help of Krishna. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, Selja Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Dandavad.
Prabhuji has two questions. One is like, why Bahuka was born? Why not directly Prithu Maharaj?
Yeah. So I had already mentioned that the sages wanted to preserve three purposes. The first purpose was the thieves also should get a king. Second, the citizens also require a Hare Krishna. Please mute.
I am muted.
The citizens also require a king. So for this Bahuka was born, and for citizens King Prithu was born. So the sages are compassionate. It's not that they're compassionate only to the citizens, they're also compassionate to the thieves. And this Bahuka, King Vena's negative qualities and the resultant actions had to be taken charge of. Someone has to take charge of the thieves and dacoits. So that is how Naishada or Bahuka was born. Is this clear?
Prabhuji, like every time there is thieves and negative energies there in the kingdom, but not every time we need the king like to pacify them.
Yes.
वो section में अलग-अलग लोग नहीं चाहिए ना pacify करने. King is enough.
Yes, the king is enough, but the sages here thought that already the Dhruva's lineage is there, and they wanted whatever wrong things have got into Dhruva's lineage, they wanted to purify it and separate it through the chanting or the manthan process. Just like we have dahi, so we have dahi. When you do manthan, the butter comes out and whatever wrong things and other things are separated. Similarly, they wanted to separate Anga Maharaj's connection with Sunita. Until unless that is separated out, Krishna will not take birth, because Krishna only takes birth in the heart or in the family of a pure person. So they wanted to separate Anga Maharaj's lineage connection with Sunita completely out. And that's why through the manthan process, they first separated out Bahuka. Okay? So we should also take lesson that until unless our heart is also pure and we give up all our connections, negative connections with this material world, Krishna is not also going to appear within our heart. And the churning process of taking out the negative things is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. By chanting of the holy name, we are throwing out Bahukas of our heart outside, so that Krishna will take birth. Your Bahukas are coming out.
Vena is only there, Bahuka.
Oh, now only Vena is there, Bahuka. Okay, no problem. Continue chanting. Vena will become Bahuka, then Bahuka will run out, and then Krishna, Prithu will appear in your heart. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes, Kushal Vihari Prabhu. Yes.
Guruji, this lesson which you have taught in this class regarding not get that much disturbed during the churning process, during the process of purification. But we see that after becoming devotees, anarthas suddenly, they start becoming very prominent. Sometimes devotees will. And the last time we had class of Dharka Vishnu, so he was telling character means what you do when you are totally alone. So we see practically, and when we are totally alone, that time mind is most rebellious and going backwards and bad things and thinking like that. And devotees feel that after becoming devotee, these things become even more prominent sometimes. So how to join these two lessons, because it should not disturb that much, but we see that it disturbs too much.
Yeah, correct. So, so the solution is that we don't remain alone. As brahmacharis, we have brahmachari ashram, where we should always be surrounded by other brahmacharis, the fellow brahmacharis, and in the ashram. And as grihasthas, we have our husband and wife. So we should understand that ashram means which gives shelter and protection. So for a brahmachari, he lives in brahmachari ashram. Nowadays, it's a culture that people don't want to get married also, and they don't want to join the brahmachari ashram also. Why? Because they just want to remain a carefree, irresponsible, and honest, dedicated servant of material energy. So this not joining any ashrama means not going through the rules and regulations. So we should try to see that we don't remain alone. If we are married, we should feel the protection of the husband and wife. If we are not married, we are brahmachari, we should feel the protection of the fellow brahmacharis. And I have seen people who had serious issues, and those people who thought that I can do it alone. And they left the ashrama to create different things and all, and then they had serious issues. So we need to understand that this ashrama has created for this purpose. Now the next question is, can any brahmachari or can my wife or husband be completely my saya, shadow? No one can become, right? So it is our own personal responsibility that to be accountable. The husband should be accountable to the wife should be accountable to the husband. So now when a person understands that actually at the end when we become sannyasi, so if you read the purport of Srila Prabhupada, Abhayam Sattva Samsiddhi, there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita where there is Abhayam Sattva Samsiddhi in I think the 13th chapter or 15th chapter, I don't know. Sorry? You are reading, you are doing the Bhakti Sastri, so you should tell where it is, Abhayam Sattva Samsiddhi. Very wonderful purport of Srila Prabhupada. Abhayam Sattva Samsiddhi. Srila Prabhupada explains that this quality is the quality of a sannyasi. And then he explains, so when I was there alone in Gosala, surrounded by the snakes, I used to always read this purport and always remember this. Abhayam Sattva Samsiddhi. Even if there are snakes and cobras all around and pythons, Abhayam Sattva Samsiddhi. So a sannyasi is fearless because Paramatma is in the heart of the cobra and Paramatma is in the heart of the Sri Nitai Das. So until unless, and I have experienced it, I am telling you honestly. One day in Gosala, I was only alone that time. So I was taking a phone and I was just talking and walking, and I just saw a very black poisonous snake and I was about to smash, and he would also in retaliation stun me. So, and then immediately, I don't know why, I looked down and I saw the snake. So we need to understand that Paramatma is there everywhere and we are never alone. But so long we are not realized that stage that Paramatma is always there in my heart and I am never alone, I am always in the surveillance of Paramatma, we need to voluntarily report and be accountable to the surveillance of the ashram rules and codes of conduct. So every ashrama has rules and codes of conducts. And why a boy doesn't want to get married? You have seen? नहीं बंधन हो जाएगा, हर समय फोन करेगी, पूछती रहेगी कहाँ हो आप, प्रेम से पूछेगी, पर पूरा फ्रीडम चुरा के ले जाएगी. Like I used to hear all my friends, they used to tell, is to not get married. So we need to understand whether it's a brahmachari ashram or a grihastha ashram, the wife and husband or the fellow brahmacharis, we are supposed to voluntarily remain accountable to them. And if we understand their protection and voluntarily become submissive, then we'll always remain protected. And that's how the ashram is. This is first part of the answer. Now regarding what will happen, because we will always remain sometimes alone, because we cannot say that even our fellow brahmacharis or husband or wife, they will always be there with us. So it is not possible. Definitely we will have to be alone sometimes. And whenever we are alone, we should always understand that these times are very, very dangerous. So when we are not alone, if we are Krishna conscious, then this Krishna consciousness will percolate when we are alone. Like for example, if we are Krishna conscious, chanting mantras and reciting Bhagavad Gita slokas, always associating with devotees. So when we are alone, Krishna will protect us. But when we are having the opportunity to associate with devotees, that time we are not taking the association seriously, then Krishna will not protect us when we are alone. So definitely we'll have to be alone, and definitely we require honesty and integrity, and sometimes because of our anarthas we may get affected. But we must also understand that Krishna is also merciful. He will drag us back if we just remain submissive to the Guru Parampara. Okay? So we need to understand that Krishna consciousness is not just going straight. It is good that if we go straight back to Godhead, but sometimes we may get detours, and those detours will also have learning lessons. We should not ask for the detours, or we should not go for the detours, but it will happen because of our anarthas. So if we are just submissive like this Bahuka, then whenever we are going in detour, someone will say, Prabhu, Mataji, aap Maya mein hai. And when Prabhu or Mataji are telling that aap Maya mein hai, if we are submissive like Bahuka, we will say, yes, main Maya mein hu, mere ko kya karna hai. Right? But if we are not submissive like Bahuka, then we'll say, main Maya mein nahi hu, tum Maya mein hai, tum galat dekh raha hai, tum Vaishnav aparadh kar raha hai. So we will tell like this. Okay? Yes. Does that answer your question? Are you there? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yes. So, yeah. Uddharan Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Dandavad.
Prabhu, my question is like continuation to Vishal Vare Prabhu's question also. About our anartha, we need to disclose our heart to our gurus and our superiors. But in spirituality, we also need to cultivate friendship, and having equals also is very, very important. And talking about our anarthas, sometimes we are not that much open also, and have some concern. Okay, what the other person will think, the devotee will think if we disclose it to them about ourselves. So, how we should handle, maintain friendship in spirituality, wherein we are open to our fellow devotees also.
Okay, so being open to fellow devotees not means that we will be open about our anarthas. Like in your home, if you are open to friendship to all devotees, it's not that you give the washroom to stay to your fellow devotees. Do you make your friends stay in the washroom or in the bedroom?
No, in the bedroom.
Yes. So we should understand that some sections of our heart will remain like washroom and some sections will be bedroom. So we will open our bedrooms to our friends and washroom we can keep for our superiors or those who can digest it or those who can clean it. So, but we should have some superiors where we can really expose our darkest part of our heart and tell that this is what troubles me a lot. But as far as friends are concerned, we should always have Krishna conscious connections with them and try to be as Krishna conscious as possible and help them to become Krishna conscious, right? This is the first part of the question. Second thing is that we do not have to be anartha conscious. It is not an international society of anartha consciousness. It is international society of Krishna consciousness. So we have to be Krishna conscious. We do not have to be anartha conscious. Anarthas are there, but more and more we are conscious of the anarthas will trouble us. More and more we are conscious of Krishna and just think that they are there, let them be there, they are going away and they will go away. They will pop up for some time and they will go away after some time. So let me be Krishna conscious. If we focus on the positive thing, negative things will slowly go away. So being Krishna conscious friends doesn't mean that I have to be so open that I will offer the washroom and tell to my friends that you have come to my house, you have to just stay in my washroom. So that is not the right thing. Being open doesn't mean that we are open and put our anarthas on the body or the mind of my friend. Being open means that I am very, very open towards practice of bhakti. I am understanding that he is my friend and I am so open that I should make open friendship and not keep any reservation with him, thinking I am 35-year-old and you are 30-year-old and I came Krishna consciousness 1 year later and you came Krishna consciousness 1 year earlier. Being open means being open to the friendship or whoever is this person. I can be openly practicing bhakti with him because he is of my category. He is a devotee. And so being open doesn't mean that we open out all our anarthas. We have to have very selective people whom we share our anarthas and who can help us. But for all other people, we practice Krishna consciousness and we help them to be Krishna conscious. Okay?
Yes, Swamiji, thank you.
Very good. Yes.
Krishna Prabhu, I have one more question.
Yes, please.
Prabhu, like Sharanagati, how can we understand that we are Sharanagati towards Guru, towards Shastra? Like our mind is also there. Sometimes it makes us to understand like we are Sharanagati, but actually we are there or not, we don't know, we don't understand.
Okay. So what do you think about yourself?
Sometimes my mind will say, this is okay, I can take, like, we should eat always 100% prasada. But sometimes if I'm taking something and it's not offered, my mind will say, it's okay now, 1%, 2% in order to. So then after eating, I feel, see, this is not good. Why I've done this? So this is the way it goes on. So 100% Sharanagati or how much I am Sharanagati to my mind or to my Guru, that I don't know. It makes situational. So how to deal with this?
So sometimes we are Saranagat and sometimes we are not Saranagat. But as we advance in Krishna consciousness, we realize that not at all times I am not Saranagat. So right now you are able to understand that I am sometimes Saranagati to my mind and sometimes Saranagati to Guru. But as we advance, we realize that I am always Saranagat to my mind. Like Bhakti Vinod Thakur is telling that Amar Jivan Sada Paperata Nahi ka Punyar Lesha Porera Udbega Diya Chi Jekota Diya Chi Jivera Klesha. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur is telling that how he is never surrendered. He is always surrendered to his mind. So we need to understand how to understand that I am advanced is when we will be fully convinced that I am not advanced. So long there is some conviction there that I am advanced, that little conviction that it's there in the heart of core of our heart proves that we are not advanced. So an advanced person is convinced, like Bhakti Vinod Thakur, that he is not advanced. An advanced person like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is convinced that he is not advanced. And he can convince you. If you sit down with an advanced person, he can speak in such a way, such convincing ways, that after sitting for just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you will also be convinced that yes, I think Prabhuji is telling the truth. Bhakti Vinod Thakur is telling the truth. He is not advanced, he is a fallen soul. So a person's advancement is seen through his humility. And humility is not something cannot be cultivated. It is awarded by the Guru Parampara when we are submissive. So we need to understand that it's not that sometimes we are surrendered to our mind. In conditioned stage, we are always surrendered to our mind. And when we reach a pure stage, we realize our insignificant nature and we understand how can Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who is so pure, think that he is such a person. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur is out of his humility because he has realized his position as Jivatma. He is thinking, oh, I am so prone to all these things. At any time I can fall down. Krishna is so great. He is so merciful. It is because of mercy of Krishna I am not falling down. So a humble person realizes that without mercy of Krishna, I can never, ever be able to control my mind. So whatever you are able to control your mind and in whatever situations, this is all because of mercy of Krishna. And more you realize it. More and more Krishna will shower his more and more mercy. And then the mind control and sense control will not be situational, it will become eternal. So it's not that Jivatmas become supreme to material energies. Jivatmas will become tatastha, but because their submissiveness, saranagati to Krishna becomes eternal, that is how they also become eternally liberated. They also become siddhas. Being a siddha doesn't mean that you become Vishnu Tattva. You still remain a Jiva Tattva. You still remain insignificant, but your mind control, sense control, your liberation becomes eternal because of your Saranagati to Krishna. Okay?
Yes, so it's a very long journey.
No problem. So there is long journey and there are lot of fun in the journey also.
Very short time. Huh?
Like Karan Prabhu is going and other devotees are going for a long drive, yes, to Puri. It's a long drive they are going. So, when they go for a long drive, it's a fun also. It's long, but it's fun. People go for long drive. So long drive in the long weekend is also fun. When devotees are there, it's fun. And when we are alone, it's boring. When you are alone, you are like a driver. But when wife is there, and you're driving for your wife on a long drive, and she is speaking sweet, sweet things, sitting in the side seat, and also trying to give you some special prasadam which she has prepared, and then you are not just a driver, right? You feel that I'm driving for my wife, for the pleasure of my wife. Yes? But alone when you're driving, and in long drive, then you're always thinking, oh, why this long drive? So that is how association of devotees is important. If we are driving with association of devotees, even if it is long drive, so now I am having anarthas, I am there in the Asosmi family along with devotees, and when I'm not having anarthas, I'll go with these devotees only, go back to Godhead, right? I am here now troubling all these devotees back to Godhead in Vrindavan, I'll trouble them only. I have made my mind, I will trouble these devotees only. So if we understand that these are my devotees, these are my Nijajan, then I'll be so happy. Now in the journey is so happy, destination will be happy, right? But if devotees are not there, we are not taking association of devotees properly, then journey will be miserable. Destination, whether we'll reach or not, we don't know. Yes? So you want to be a lone driver, or you want to drive for your beloved?
I don't want to be alone.
Oh, you don't want to be alone. Very good, very good. Very good. Yes. What is this? What is? Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes, Rajesh Prabhu, last question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
I have a question regarding sadhus reacted or acted upon when they saw that situations and it's not good for living women in those ages. So similarly, still we are not in better position right now. Then why sadhus right now is not reacting or showing that kind of compassion towards the society?
Yeah, because the Brahmanas, these are not sadhus, these are Brahmanas. So the Brahmanas are different from sadhus. So the Brahmanas have Brahma Tej. In Kali Yuga, because Sringi, in first canto, if we read, Sringi cursed Parikshit. Sringi was a Brahmana, he cursed Parikshit to death. And because Sringi made a mistake, he was a Brahmana, he made a mistake of using or misusing his Brahminical powers. So after Sringi, in Kali Yuga, the Brahminical powers have been taken away from the Brahmanas. So now in Kali Yuga, the Brahmanas are not having the Brahminical powers because the Brahmanas, starting from Sringi, they misused their Brahma Tejas. And the Brahmanas are different. So Brahmanas have lost their Tejas, but Sadhus are different. Sadhus are devotees of the Lord who are ever compassionate. So we see that even if Brahmanas are not there who can take control of the kings, and the kings are now unruly because there are not Brahmanas. Now because Brahmanas were there, so Vena was controlled and Vena was overthrown and a right king was put. But now Brahmanas are not there, but sadhus are there, devotees are there who are always preaching the message. So devotees are different from the Brahmanas, they are higher than the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas can overthrow one king and put another king, but the devotees will not just overthrow the king, overthrow the material life in a person and reinstate spiritual life in the life of a person. So the sadhus are much greater than the brahmanas, and because of Kali Yuga, the brahmanical power is subdued. But as devotees, if we preach, if we are compassionate to others, and we distribute books, distribute Mahaprasad, start chanting Hare Krishna ourselves and help others to chant Hare Krishna, so then this Bahuka will go out of the society, right? So yes, there is so much of unrest in the society, but we should understand that we have holy name of Krishna. We should chant Hare Krishna. We should inspire others to chant Hare Krishna. And more people chant Hare Krishna, the unrest of the society will go away. Srila Prabhupada went to America in the most unrest situation, but he started chanting Hare Krishna. He didn't took any political side. He just started chanting Hare Krishna, and all the unrest and the hippie movement got subdued, and so many hippies got transformed. So a sadhu is different than the brahmana. Okay? So chant Hare Krishna. Let us chant Hare Krishna and really pray for those, whoever is facing whatever unrest. Yes. I have one announcement before I can answer this Prabhu's question, Ankit Prabhu's. The announcement is that in this week's reading group, I request as soon as possible, or today, all of you have time, please make your Srila Prabhupada's offering, and I will send in the official groups whom you have to send. So please make your, last year we had together done it. So this year I request that all of you please write offering to Srila Prabhupada and send it. And I will find out who can coordinate this and send in the WhatsApp. Okay? So please write your offering. Yes, last question by Ankit Prabhu, and we'll end.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for this wonderful class. Prabhuji, during this transition phase, we have some certain desires. We know that we need to be submissive to the spiritual master and the authorities. But we have some few desires. And these desires, they are not exactly like, I don't know. In some cases, we tend to rely on our mind and try to come on conclusions that, oh no, I'm not waiting for regulatory principle, then it is fine and I'm practicing bhakti, like that. But there are some certain desires which we don't know if it is for the favorable or unfavorable, or it is neutral. But our mind tend to say that, okay, it's okay, we can do this because I'm still chanting Hare Krishna and I'm still, practicing the path. So it's like we are trying to cheat ourselves only. Means, I don't know how to say it, but this is is it so how to come out of it? Maybe we can say that, okay, let's fulfill this desire, otherwise it will be there. Or so there is a gray area. So how to go about it?
Okay, so if all of you agree, I will take only 5 minutes. Please, all of you, be attentive. Don't leave the class. So we will just discuss on this question. Oh. Okay. So in Krishna consciousness, the topmost are the siddhas. They are completely pure, right? Out of their sadhana, or their nitya siddhas. Below the siddhas, there are sadhakas. So sadhakas, they are not pure, but practice to become pure. Below the sadhakas are devatas. They are not pure, but practice to satisfy their desires. And they do not want to be pure. They know that purity is there, but they don't want, they just want to satisfy their desires. And below the devatas are sahayakas. They are well-wishers to Krishna consciousness, or in ISKCON terminology, they are called donors. Yes, Karan Prabhu, Pavan Krishna. They are sahayakas, right? And below the sahayakas, they are, the sreshthas. And the sreshthas are the officials who, through their position, they want to support. So when we are showing compassion to people, when a guru or a superior, he wants to show compassion to person, he first has to understand, compassion means first has to understand what is the category of a person. Whether one is a srestha, sahayakas, devatas, sadhakas or siddhas. And a person gradually will come up from the stage of a srestha to a siddha. So a guru is very compassionate. He is a well-wisher, not this well-wisher, sahayaka well-wisher. So he is a well-wisher of everyone. So a guru understands which level a person is, whose desires are, and he guides accordingly. And we should also understand that we will slowly evolve from these to reach to the Siddha stage. So we are mostly in this category. We are not fully sadhakas, we are not fully devatas, we are iskonas. In between the devatas and the sadhakas. We are not pure sadhakas because we still want some good things and benefits and all. And we are not fully devatas. We want to become pure, right? But we want to also satisfy our desires. So we need to understand that till sahayakas level, till this level of sahayakas, they are not sinful. They follow the 4 regulative principles. They want to propagate Krishna consciousness. They practice Krishna consciousness to whatever category they can. And So they are not sinful. They follow the 4 regulative principles and are in sattva gunas. So we are from 2nd to 5, we are in between somewhere, mostly from 3 to 4. So when we are talking about these desires, though they are not sinful desires, these desires are there. So these desires what we have to be redirected. Let's say for a person who is between 3 and 4, he has a desire that he should have money. So this desire has to be redirected and some part of the money has to be given in charity. Let's say from 3 to 4, the person has a desire that he should have a very good child. So this desire has to be redirected and the child should be raised in Krishna consciousness. So definitely the devatas and between the devatas and sadhakas, they have some material desires, but their material desires are not sinful. And because they are not sinful, they need to be first redirected. And when they are properly redirected, then they will slowly become purified. How they will get purified? So when they are redirected, let's say a person who is a devata, he is having a desire that I should have some money or wealth and I will give lot of wealth in charity. And then he gives a lot of wealth in charity, but in acquisition of the wealth, there is so much of frustration that finally he says, oh Krishna, you are already Lakshmipati. Why I should give you wealth? Let me remain a bankrupt beggar and you as your servant, I will remain like that only. So the acquisition of the wealth or the acquisition of the material desires is also helps us to go through the purification process. But so long we have the material desires, we need to learn to redirect the material desires and also help a person or guide a person based on the level. Like for example, some people you will see that you ask them to come to Bhagavad Gita class, they will not come for Bhagavad Gita class. You ask them to give some charity, they will give charity, but they will not come for Bhagavad Gita class. So to tell all people join Bhagavad Gita class, then you are part of ISKCON is actually not helping them. So some people will join Bhagavad Gita class, some people will join satsang class, some people will after joining satsang class will always be very serious and want to go back to Godhead. Some people will join satsang class, but okay. Some things are also there. So those all categories of people have to be taken care. And we should not feel disgusted about our material desires because our material desires are not sinful. So from 2 to 5, we are not sinful and we should not feel disgusted about these material desires. These desires are to be redirected in Krishna consciousness. Once they are redirected, they will bring lot of purification. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes, Guruji, thank you.
So we are in between 3 and 4 and it's natural. We'll have some desires to enjoy. And so long within the boundary of Krishna consciousness, we are enjoying. Purification is certain. Krishna is going to purify you for sure. There is no doubt about it. But we need to redirect it. Okay? Hare Krishna. So please write your Srila Prabhupada offerings and I will send in the groups where to send it. Okay? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Santanu Prabhu has said that he is praying for all of us in Sri Sri Ranganath Swami temple. Santanu Prabhu has specifically gone to Ranganath Swami because Ranganath Swami is expert in Yoga Nidra. And Santanu Prabhu is taking blessings of Ranganath Swami for me, because doctor also has said to me to take rest. So Santanu Prabhu will pray for me to take rest. And maybe from next week also we will see when we can start Prithu Maharaj's section. Okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Mahapurana ki jai. Vena Raja ki jai. Bahuka ki jai. Brahmanas ki jai. Vidur Maitriya Sambad ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samavet Gaur Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.